Are you plagued by questions about how to get your business going, products or apps to market, how to be the best entrepreneur that you can be? I have someone who can answer your questions right here with me. I have Fred Cary, who is CEO of IdeaPros, and I'm Tessa. I'm the director of marketing at IdeaPros, and we're here to answer your questions and really take a little bit out of the process of getting your business going successfully. So, Fred, we first of all, how are you doing?
Me? Well, I'm doing great.
Good. And our audience, if you're out there, let us know so we can see you. #live or replay, and we're gonna kick it off with some questions. Please, if you have questions, put them in the chat, and I will try my best to get you slotted in with Fred. Hello, Bill, Kelly, Stephanie, Lindsay, Johns. Okay. Judith, Bill, Shelly, thank you guys all so much for being here. And Fred,
yes.
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Admiring your outfit, and very professional.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's actually, I know Fred's outfits don't have to change because they have a steady temperature in California, but I'm freezing out here in Tennessee. So let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm curious.
The answer to the first question is guys don't wear outfits.
They don't wear clothes. You wear clothes. See, I didn't know that. I'm obviously not a typical girl. I don't know this. I don't. It's true. That's a good thing, though. Less money that is involved in buying clothes, I bet. Well, thank you guys all so much for being here. We have some really good questions that were submitted. I'm going to put some on the screen because they went through our form. Okay. We do have a form on the post that you can fill out questions if you want to get a question in for this session. You're best to put it in the comments because I'm not going to see them over on the form now. So perfect. Okay, the first question that we had was from Michael, and he has a great idea but has no idea where to start to turn it into a product. Do you have any advice? I'm pretty sure you've got this one down, Fred.
Yeah, I would say run, because anybody, whether you're working with us or not, who's an entrepreneur has learned or is about to learn that it's not easy. And there are many, many, many moving parts, and not all those parts work together. They don't all fit together. And so the job of taking your entrepreneurial idea and turning that into a product that is going to sell is a big, very complicated journey. I know that on IdeaPros.com we have a checklist, a free checklist there that really lays out everything that you need to do as an entrepreneur. But even so, using a list like that, you're only as good as your knowledge base, right? Brain surgeon could give you a list of the steps that need to take place in order to do a successful surgery. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it on your own. So my first advice is to kind of take that idea and compartmentalize it a little bit so it's a really solid idea that has some opportunity of being expressed very quickly. What we call an elevator pitch. If you have something that's powerful enough that in 3 or 4 sentences, people will understand what you're doing and why it's important, then you're well on your way. The second thing is, don't try to do it alone. And usually if you can get 1 or 2 people interested that are friends, family, that want to go it with you, it gets very, very expensive. And typically launching even a small product is $500,000 to $1 million from your idea stage to a launch stage. And it typically takes 3, 4, 5 years to do so. And you're really unlikely to get everything right. So, but if you want to take that journey anyway, in spite of my cautions, the very first thing you need to do is understand your market, who's in there, what are the competitors, what are they doing well? What do they do poorly? Who are the customers? And why would they want to have what you have to offer instead of what the existing competitors have? If you can't figure those things out, then I wouldn't go any further. But that's really the crux of where you start. Understanding the playing field that you're in, understanding the competition, understanding the full landscape, including the consumers that are going to buy your products or the other businesses that are going to buy your products, and really get myopically focused on really understanding why you have a solution that's going to work really well for your target audience. Then you can go through all the other steps that we have in our free checklist.
And actually, I'm going to put the free checklist link in the chat right now. And it's a great resource to download and then check off, literally save it to your computer and check off the items as you go along. So I put that in there. And I love how Fred, you're so brutally honest, which I think is what's so cool about working with you, is that you're going to tell it how it is, and you are saying it's not easy, and that's the journey for all entrepreneurs, not just products or apps, or not just ones that are, it's hard. So
even if you're opening a brick and mortar store, that's easier, because typically when you're doing that, you're doing something that already exists, right? When you're an entrepreneur that's creating something, typically it's something that either doesn't exist or you're making radical changes to it. But even if you're doing something like you're an entrepreneur, you want to open up a new restaurant, there's so many moving parts. There's so many things that you need to do to find the right location, to find the right type of menu that people want, to find the right staff, the right equipment, to comply with all the governmental regulations, to sit there and not have any customers for months. There's a great 3 Michelin star restaurant up in the northern part of Italy, in Monza, that this guy wanted to take Italian food, the traditional food, and put a modern spin on it, right? He's 3 Michelin stars now. It's the highest ranking you can get in the world. He spent almost a year with no customers. Everybody in Italy hated him and hated his concept and what he was doing, and how could you do this to grandma's recipes? So even if you have a brick and mortar establishment and you're trying to do something different, it's painful, and you really have to have guts, stick-to-itiveness, and you really have to keep picking yourself up off the floor and continue on. No matter what you do as an entrepreneur, it's very, very hard work, and it's not for people who are quitters or who want to give up easily.
I know. I've been an entrepreneur 20 or so years. Like I've come from a family of entrepreneurs, and it's always been like that. So you kind of get used to it. I have another question that's really easy. And is this live? Yes, it's live. I just wanted to put this up because I can actually answer a question.
and what your definition of live is.
Ah, that's true. That's true. We are streaming it live right now at noon Pacific time on Friday, October 16th. If you are catching this any other time, it is possibly a replay. But if you're watching the replay, #replay, we keep an eye on the comments as well. So I had to throw that in there. So if you do ask a question over in the chat, then I might be able to get it in for you.
Yeah,
so the next,
if you're throwing things like that in, it probably means we don't have very many questions.
No, I just had to say that because a lot of people think we're just recording it, and I wanted to make sure they knew we're here for you. Wiper glove on you.
We wouldn't be stumbling around somewhere.
So the next question is from Sean, not our Sean Reed. Hello, it's good to have you and Kelly here, but this is from
Sean.
A different Sean. Do you have tips on raising more money for manufacturing?
All right. Well, that assumes that you already have a business. When you say more money for manufacturing, I'm not sure if you mean additional manufacturing beyond what you're doing, or you're at the point where you're ready to manufacture a product and you need to raise capital to do so. So depending on a whole lot of circumstances that would really warrant a separate show, there are multiple ways to do so. Number one, there are credit facilities, but you have to have equipment, you have to have a pedigree, you have to have a really good credit score, and you can get that type of financing up front. You may be able to get SBA type loans, depending on how long you've been in business or one of your other companies has been in business. The real way to get money for manufacturing, if you don't have any of those things, is either through crowdfunding or else through pre-sales that you try to do on your own website, or using some source like Advertise Purple, which is a affiliate marketing agency that brings different affiliates to you so that you can start driving traffic. But if you can find a way to get pre-orders and let those pre-orders pay for the manufacturing, then you're on your way to doing something good. But again, even with pre-orders, you need advertising dollars, because you can't just put up a website and say that you're ready to take orders and have people come flooding in. You have to be able to reach them. So limited budget, I would use an agency like Advertise Purple to drive traffic to you. If you have somewhat more of a budget, I would suggest looking at crowdfunding as a possibility, because with crowdfunding, once you pay your initial upfront test fees, if it tests well, you can get financing for that crowdfunding campaign. But those are the basic ways to do so, other than borrow from mom and dad.
Which actually is how most businesses are started, is actually borrowing from mom and dad or friends or people that you know. So that's not something you have to be ashamed of. So you actually answered one of Shelley's questions too, which was, what was the affiliate marketing company that Fred works with? That's Advertise Purple that Fred just covered. So
yeah, I would not. If you're one of our partners, and again, this show is meant to be for every entrepreneur, it's not geared towards people that work with us, but Shelley does work with us. If you are one of our partners, see us about that. It's hard to get them to work with you if you're if you don't have some traction already. They will do that with us and our companies because of the affiliation we have with each other. But if you're seeing this and you're not associated with IdeaPros, you got to get some sales and some traction first, and then they'll get involved and work with you. But there are other affiliate management marketing companies out there, and if you can't afford any of that, and you're just at the very beginning and you want to do it on your own, you can check out shareasale.com, and also commissionjunction.com. Those are the two largest sites that do affiliate sales. You got to be really careful, because there's a bunch of affiliates that don't do anything. So you really need to study it. Take some, they have programs that teach you how to use it well. Do that kind of stuff first, and then you can get affiliates that will drive traffic to you, even if it's for pre-orders. But you got to make sure that you work out a deal with the affiliates. Otherwise, they're going to be asking for their 10% commission before you've even sold anything. So be careful with that.
Right. But it's a viable option to have a sales force that's out there doing the work for you. So I mean, it's a good.
I got a friend of mine that I hate right about now, because he's spending his time on his sailboat traveling around the world. He started a nutritional company, and in 3 years they did $400 million in revenue, and 95% of that revenue was through affiliate marketing. Let me explain that a little bit more. Affiliate marketing is where other organizations, other companies, things even like magazines or review sites. Every time you're looking for a new TV or a new car, probably 90% of those review sites are affiliate companies, and they will drive traffic to you without you spending any money. Once that traffic comes to you, if somebody makes a purchase, then you owe them a percentage fee. And it's amazing, because you don't spend any money until you have the money in your hand. Unlike regular advertising,
you have that built in.
Right. Regular advertising, obviously, you're spending money in hopes of something coming in.
Exactly. Great. Well, great question. Great topic for us to cover today. So we do have a whole show on affiliate sales and how to incorporate that in. So you can check us out on Facebook and YouTube, or you can go to our blog at IdeaPros.com. .com/blog. So I have a question from Gary. I'm excited about this one, actually. Gary, he has a product where he can actually put corporate logos on, and he wants to get people, he wants to have more people know about this program and the product, and how, so he's asking, how can I show generated logos on outgoing emails or in videos? That's interesting. I like your question, how you worded it. We just talked today. Gary and I said he should hop on and ask Fred his questions about promoting. So can you show video or generated renderings and in emails and videos? Yes. And you can even have animated GIFs and things like that.
And no.
And no.
There's a very big no to this. Yes, you can, if you're targeting that corporation and you're showing them examples. No, you can't if you just have it on your website and you're showing GM and Ford and Apple and all those different companies on your website, because you're using their logo without permission when you're doing that. So if you want to send promotional material to Apple, for example, you're certainly welcome to use their logo. This is not legal advice, and I may be completely wrong legally, but in my opinion is, if you're directing something to that person or company that you want to take your service and use it, you can show them examples of how it would be incorporated and how it would be utilized. And this is Gary's product. It's really awesome. We just met again with another crowdfunding group that we are bundling Gary's product with a couple of others and gonna crowdfund it. But this is a really awesome product for corporate sponsorship, because a lot of these companies have events, have golf outings, and the little round thing with the white circle around it, our logo on that product, that pops out, and you can put a magnetic logo of any company that's hosting a golf event. So it's a really cool product, and Gary's absolutely right. This would be great for doing something like that. And also, Gary, there are companies that specialize in sponsorships, and they can act as a broker, and you can talk to me offline about that if that's the route you want to go. There are, as I said, brokers out there that will take this and offer it as one of their bundle of services that they utilize when they go out and handle corporate events for big companies or even smaller ones that are hosting events like this.
So if you are a golfer, this clips on and gives you your tees, your divot tool, a ball marker, and it can hold your glove at the bottom. So it's an awesome all-purpose tool. So
it won't improve your game, but it'll keep your pants in better shape, because I think Gary told me the average golfer puts his or her, well, probably his, because ladies wear skirts more, but his hands inside and outside of his pockets something like 144 times in a golf game. So.
Well, and it's amazing. And I just get to do this. I love working with our partners, but I get to say just a little bit, that's that it speeds up their games on the course and they look more professional. I mean, like if you're not fumbling for all of your stuff. So I just love it. So
yeah,
Gary, the answer is that you can customize it. If you're making a pitch, it's like anything else. If you're pitching, you might be able to show them what it would look like, but just don't put it out publicly. Awesome. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. I know we're almost at the top of the hour, well, the bottom of the hour, I guess, if you will. How do I come up with, I'm combining two. Darren asks, how do I create a good business plan?
Well, we do have one of our blogs, actually, I think is entitled The Death of the Business Plan.
It is. So we're going against the grain a little bit.
and we also happen to have a one-page, do you have that? The
one business plan?
Yeah, and maybe you can post it on here at some point.
Yeah,
I don't want to go scramble for it right this second. But the reality is, there are very few circumstances where you're going to really need the old-fashioned 50, 60-page business plan that I used to have to write all the time. And that is because, number one, most of the time they're garbage. You have no idea. You're going to do 3-year projections for a company that hasn't even sold one of the golden widgets they want to develop yet. And so most investors look at those and their eyes kind of glaze over. What you need is a very, very powerful, very succinct explanation of what you're doing, how you're doing it, what the demand is, what the pain is, and how you're solving that pain, and what's in it for anybody that wants to get involved with you. Once you can answer all those questions in a very succinct and powerful way, then you can sit down and have dialogue and discussions about how would you build this out over the next year or the next 2 years. You know, and you can have a roundtable discussion once you have people really interested in what you're doing. But I wouldn't go, unless you're going for an SBA loan or something like that that absolutely requires those types of things. I would keep it short, focus on an executive summary, or even better, the one-page business plan that you're going to see a link to at some point.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna definitely, I have to go find, or I just had it this morning, so it's so ironic that you said that, and now I have to go find it. But we do have a PDF, and you can fill it in, and it's designed to keep things nice and succinct. That blog post that that we talked about, the death of a business plan, goes into a little bit more detail as well. So wonderful. So we're almost out of time. This is actually a question I think I hear a lot from people in general. I know, Fred, you are a huge part of how we name our companies. And I just wanted to, it's kind of, I'm cheating, but I want to ask it. But how do you come up with these names, these unique names for businesses?
Yeah, that's probably the most painful part of the entrepreneurial experience for me when I'm working with first-time entrepreneurs or 10th-time entrepreneurs in some cases. The whole naming and positioning part of it is something people want to skip through, or they've shown up and they have a great name in their mind, and they just don't even want to mess with that part of it. In reality, it's one of the most important things you can do, because think about it. You could sell a box that has nothing in it if it has a really great name, really great positioning, something that catches the audience's attention and gets them to take that box of nothing and bring it to the cash register and buy it one time, right? You'll never be able to sell it again because there's nothing in it. But the point is, it's the only thing that you have that will attract people to you and to your product, because they can't touch it, feel it, smell it, use it, in most cases, right away, especially with so many things happening online. So and I'm doing this before I tell you how I
He's giving us the backstory here.
Not that I got the question. So the whole thing, when you're looking at any place you want to go into, you want to look at the competitors, look at what they're doing, look at how they're positioning themselves, and find some way to go in there and disrupt everything, to be different, to be memorable, to be that new company that comes out there that's really changing the game. So if you have company A, company B, company C, and they're in this one sector, you don't want to call yourself company D, right? You don't want to be like your competitors. You want to be vastly different. And you have to think about that in the naming process with anything that you do. You want a name that's evocative, that's disruptive, that lets people kind of think about what it means, what it stands for, what it does, why that name. Because the more people think about it, the more attached they're going to become to it. Even people that...
Oops, I lost your audio. Weird.
And no, it's actually...
I was going to say, we lost your audio for a second there. I was like, is it me?
My daughter that's calling me in is the only person that's not blocked. So,
well, hopefully everything's okay. But go ahead if you had a little bit more.
So along those lines, the reality is that when you think of a name, even if somebody doesn't really like it at first, it can be really powerful. Like names like Caterpillar, right? That's a big, huge earth-moving company that makes these gigantic machines, And those machines are hardly anything like a caterpillar, small little weak bug, and yet that name is really powerful. And I've used this example of people who work with me or watch this show, companies like Apple. Apple came in and disrupted the computer industry. They didn't choose company D, right? They chose something completely different. Or Virgin is an airline. So when I go to name a company, I really look for something that kind of you can feel what it is, but you can't touch it, right? So it's not going to be called my new laser toaster. It might be called Zippy. And so you can get a sense, an emotional sense of what that product is without a descriptive sense of what the product is. So if you're naming things that really describe, this is really great. I want people to know what I have, and this is what I have. And so I'm going to use that name somewhere in the name of the product. That's a big mistake because you're not memorable. You're not something that is going to be different, and you're not something that has people stop and think, right? So you need to be evocative with the names that you create. And the fact is that I have the left brain, right brain stuff going on with the musician, a poet. I wrote a couple hundred songs, so that the artistic component of it allows you to get in touch with who your audience is. And the business side of it lets you look at the monetary value of naming, positioning, branding something the right way, and making sure that the culture of your organization is out there where everybody can feel and can want to associate with you. It's all interrelated.
It's a gift. It really is. I have seen lots of businesses, and we have actually a good example of one. And I know that we have Bill on watching with us, and this is Goliath, the high-rise sports chair. And I'm just going to put it up because this is one of the ones that it's a sports chair that you can. I'm going to try to show it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So it goes way above. So it's designed for a bowling event is actually where Bill came up with this idea, so that he could see his boys and their bowling tournaments. But again, high-rise sports chair was an original name. And I know, Bill, you said over there that you don't ask Fred questions because he'll yell at you, but he's just super honest. And I know you guys went through like a naming fun exercise or two on this one, but Goliath is great.
Goliath is a perfect example, right? And Bill, thanks for bringing this up. And by the way, I just got off the Zoom call this morning with people who want to sell this directly on Amazon and elsewhere. And on Wednesday, we had a meeting with our crowdfunding team that want to put Goliath on as a crowdfunding item as well. So this is a great example. Right? It came in as the high-rise sports chair. And that's exactly what it is, right? That's a descriptive name. High-rise because it goes up above the crowd, and it's sports chair because you can watch sporting games on there. And now it's called Goliath. And Bill hated the name at first, just like the guy who was the owner of Blue Ribbon Sports hated the name that they wanted to change it to. He thought Blue Ribbon Sports was fantastic, and that turned out to be Nike. So the reality is Goliath evokes something, right? Big, huge, giant, and so you're evoking that sort of connectivity to what your product is without calling it the high-rise sports chair. And this thing we actually took this out to the ocean too. People gather around it. Everybody wants one, whether you're using it anywhere for any type of seaside sporting event, volleyball games, soccer. Imagine if you're 5'2" soccer mom, and right. The last of everybody on the field, you can be sitting 6 feet up very safely and have a great view from wherever you are. And it's collapsible, and it's got 3 different heights to it. So really awesome product. It's taken a long time. This is another example of what we talked about in the very beginning, the frustration of being an entrepreneur. Right. We love each other, we yell at each other, we get frustrated with each other, and we pick back up and start it again. And that's a perfect example. And I use Bill for my closing thoughts.
Hold on, I'll make it big screen so we can hear your closing thoughts.
That if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to be prepared for that bumpy ride. And Bill has changed dramatically since we started, and we still have our ups and downs. And when the hell is this going to go live? It's not easy. I don't think there's anybody that you can talk to that's a partner of mine that gets to the end of the process and is really thrilled with me, because it's really, really hard at this point. Now you got everything that's perfectly positioned. How are you going to go to market? How does COVID change your ability to do so, right? When something is dealing with sporting events, for example, there are a lot of issues that we have that we wouldn't have otherwise had this not happened around the world. So there's always something that's going to come up that's going to put a kink in your game and make you take a turn when you don't want to, or make you take a few steps backward when you're all ready to go and you're waiting for that gate to open. So back to my first question, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be resilient, you need to be steadfast, and you have to be able to know that you're going to try it again and again and again, and eventually you're going to get it right. But it's a long, hard journey, and it's not for people who aren't cut out to take that ride, to take that risk, and to be able to rise above the crowd and do it right.
Oh, look at you with your perfect ending. But I just want to add that if you were doing this alone, it's way harder. You have people that are there to help you with IdeaPros. So I can't.
I don't do IdeaPros pitches. So
I know, but I have to, because it's like, I know. He doesn't want me to pitch, but I'm just saying that we're here to help everyone, not just our partners. We're putting this information out there weekly on Fridays at noon. So mark to get the reminders on this post, or you can sign up to get text when we go live. We'd love to have you guys here every single week. Daniel, Kwame, I saw your question and we didn't have time today. I'm putting it on for our next frequently asked questions for sure. Again, if you have more questions, put them in the chat. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, take care.